Well, a new field is emerging that could take the guesswork out of dieting. Genetic-based dietary recommendations are based on a new field of study called nutritional genomics. It's the scientific study of the relationship between your genes, nutrition, and health. New companies are popping up that will test your DNA and make recommendations on what you should be eating to achieve your best health. Joining me now is Mackay, an adjunct professor at the University of Manitoba who specializes in this field. Professor, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, can you go ahead and explain to us exactly how genetic-based dietary recommendations work?
Sure. So it's a field called nutrigenetics, and it's based on the idea that because people have different genetic variations, they may have different dietary requirements, or the same people, two different people that have different genetics may respond differently to the same diet. So potentially by seeing how diet responds to different genetics, we can personalize diets to make them better for an individual.
Okay, so what's the catch? Is this scientifically proven, or is it just a fad?
Well, it's not just a fad, but it is an emerging field. I mean, as you said, it's not very new. It's probably 15 to 5 to 10, 15 years old. But there's lots of companies out there now that are selling tests, and it's really emerging that way. So on the internet right now, there's tons, probably hundreds of companies that'll sell you DNA-based or personalized dietary recommendations based on your genetics. But the issue is that the science is not really mature or strong enough yet, in my opinion at least. I mean, there's some shadier companies, there's some better companies. The better companies use a lot of scientific evidence and try to back it up. But even those good companies will tell you that a lot is evidence is not as strong as you'd like. And one of the key things that's...
Sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
One of the key things that I think is missing is that a lot of the tests that are being sold right now haven't really been validated or tested themselves. So companies will come up, have some evidence for developing a test, and then they won't do a trial to test if their test works.
And I'm guessing this is where places like the University of Manitoba come in handy. Talk about the research that's being done at the University of Manitoba right now.
Yes, so myself and some other colleagues at the University of Manitoba, we're developing a test, or we're hoping to develop a test to predict response to plant sterols. Plant sterols are a natural health product that lower cholesterol, but not everybody responds to the same magnitude. So some people have a good lowering of cholesterol in response to taking them, and others don't seem to have any response at all. And we think we've found some genetic markers that might predict that response. So in this case, we could start selling a test right away, perhaps, but we want to test it first by doing a clinical trial. So we're going to recruit people who we think will respond, and recruit people who we think won't respond, feed them the product, and really validate our test before taking it to the marketplace.
I'm going to guess that this is a field that, while still young, is just going to become bigger and bigger in the future. Do you have any sense on how big this is going to get?
I think it's going to be huge. I think going forward with the decreasing costs of gene sequencing, and soon at a point where we're going to have our DNA sequenced at our doctor or maybe at birth soon. And that's really going to lead to an explosion in this kind of dietary recommendations, personalization of exercise and diet based on the genetics. But I think it's going to take a while for the evidence to fully validate a lot of the tests that are out there now.
Professor, you know that Canadian consumers are going to want to be part of this. To those people who want to experiment or take advantage of this science and this emerging field, what should they know?
I think it's a buyer beware recommendation. Talk to the companies. The good ones will give you evidence. Ask them how they came up with their tests, what the rationale for each one of the tests is, and ask them if they validated the tests. And a good company should be able to provide you with scientific evidence to back up their tests. And then the consumer needs to decide whether it's worth their dollar.
Mackay from the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg, thank you very much.